Good morning. Happy Sunday, everybody. This is Malcolm in the Middle, and we have the electrifying Aaron. We have the tenacious and tremendous Tracy, and we got that killer Kojo here on another day of Real Talk. And today's episode has been inspired because here I live in Calgary, Alberta. And so we're tired of every level of government, but we got to start off in the grassroots. We're trying to get our municipal back to where it should be. So now we're signing petitions to get our mayor out of office because she's just not doing anything. So I pose to the panel the question is, how do we get rid of the man at the very top? You know who I'm talking about, the man that's called JT. He's got nice hair, but he doesn't have great politics. And now all he's doing is him and his friends are just lining their pockets. So, how do we go about getting this guy out of office? So,
Okay,
that's real talk today.
so
Let's go.
JT, I'm assuming you mean Justin Trudeau.
Oh, you know
Justin
it.
Trudeau,
You
the
know
Prime
it.
Okay,
Minister of our country of Canada.
okay.
That's right.
Well,
Not Justin Timberlake. Not Justin Timberlake. He's a nice guy. His hair is
well,
probably a little bit better, more
Well,
black,
look,
like
well,
before
curly.
well,
before we get
well.
started, I'd like to say that us as taxpayers, common citizen taxpayers, we are the boss because we are the ones paying for them to do all of this stuff. So, but their titles make them accountable to us. So, I've been advocating for so long to try to get a meeting with a head-to-head meeting. We have lots of problems across our nation here, lots. So, very good, Malcolm. They're actually not available to the public. That's in all different levels. What I see here in this great province of
Well,
Manitoba and Canada,
How funny
well,
is that? A
well,
public servant not
not available.
not available to the
yeah,
public.
not
How
serving the
typical.
public, yeah. Well, I
Mhm.
mean, there's a video that was circulating on TikTok, and I mean, it had all various people from, various walks of life, some professions, making, claiming to be making 80 to 100 grand a year, which is, at one time was a good living. I know 20 years ago, that was kind of like my goal was to be making that, actually, probably more like 25 years ago, was kind of like my goal to be making like amount of money. But, I guess for me, I was really fortunate to realize very early on in life, or maybe just the way I'm wired, it's kind of like my favorite video game. It's like pushing myself to hit higher targets. So that's kept me ahead of the curve or inflation, so to speak, right? And these powers that be, they do that by design, right? Because they need rats in this treadmill to keep putting into their coffers to enrich themselves, right? And so here's where there's countries like here's where the world could actually learn from Africa, as far as I'm fucking concerned. They're having coups all over the place right now, like in Nigeria, Burkina Faso, where these useless leaders, they're basically being fired if they're not doing their jobs, right? I'm not saying it needs to come to a coup here, but maybe it does. Because
Mhm.
honestly, if Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk wasn't performing at their jobs, guess what? They would be fired, right?
Exactly,
And there you have,
100%, Alex,
yeah,
100%. And their jobs are to govern
yeah,
the country or the city.
and here you have this whatever what do you call it, this uh, uh provincial leader trying to like basically and this is something I think we talked about on this podcast a while back ago about transgender people and all this other stuff, trying to basically say they're not people, and that basically trying to veto them and their rights to live. And
Mhm.
there's a problem, I'll always have, because I think as long as they're humans, every human's got a right to live, a right to
The thing is that if you are a mayor of a city right now, okay, you are a mayor of a city and you have people that live in the bus shelter of your city. They live on the street. They're buried in a garbage dump. There's no salvation. That means to me that the mayor and their council, or the premier and their council of ministers, or their chief and their council, or whoever's looking after things around here, uh, failed the people miserably because we're all taxpayers.
No, well, we're all taxpayers, but and again, not saying we don't help the less fortunate, but there's a
But not,
saying that I
but
believe
the
it's real.
government,
You look at the home first, okay? So
right?
for some reason
But in Canada,
we have money to help the Ukraine, but we don't have money to help
right,
the homeless people here,
right.
which to me
But
is a war in itself.
In Canada, we have systems that don't that ensure right? Through our tax dollars. We have programs and systems. We have not-for-profits. We have churches. We have charities. We have all these things to manage, right? So this is a very good topic because I don't see anybody managing things all that well. And the ones that maybe are trying, they're getting defeated by people that are not doing what they signed up to do, you know?
What was the question?
So go ahead, Trace.
What was the question again, Malcolm? How do we get rid of JT?
That's right.
I hear him.
So I thought I got a solution. In fact, it's actually a very simple one. He's doing well enough on his own. He's just keeps doing what he does, and he pretty soon, if somebody doesn't lynch him, I mean, the people, it's at the stage right now where we can't wait to get rid of him.
Well, that's just the problem right there, Tracy. Right? Is yes, he's doing it well on his own, but the thing is, we as a society tend to just lean back and let things take care of themselves, right? As opposed to, yes, we can have this podcast. Yes, we will have this podcast. Yes, there's a lot of people talking about it, but what are people doing about it, right? That's the difference, right?
Well,
so here's where in some countries, again, I'll go back to Africa. It's the military leaders that are taking the stand for the people. Like, and here, I don't know if you guys remember COVID. Everyone was, I know it was like the sky was falling. No one knew what to do. Everyone was locked up in their homes. Everyone was displaced from their jobs. Kids were displaced from schools. No, well, not everyone, but most everyone, right? Wait, well, let me finish. And it wasn't until the truckers were and I even though everyone else had a mandate to get these fucking needles in their arms, apparently the truckers did until a year or so into this thing. So these truckers were carrying this fucking virus back and forth across the border. Whereas everyone else had mandated, but once the truckers were made to mandate it they have to get these needles too. They said fuck it, and they drove their semis to Ottawa, congested fucking trade, and guess what? They tapped out. They said, "Oh fuck it, okay, we made enough of these vaccines. We can eat these fucking."
He froze everybody's bank accounts, made sure that he locked up all the funding, made sure that he did something which was actually an absolute precedence that destroyed the potential of investment in our country, because quite frankly, if you were a big corporation overseas, would you invest in a country where there's a government that just goes and locks up bank accounts and freezes everybody's money? Hell no. So the problem is, I'm afraid there, Killer, is that, if we want to go to the point where we want to push back, we'd have to do it in a physical sort of way, because the laws are not on the people's side. And like I mentioned today, 80% of this country is dependent on a government check. So
exactly.
Whoa.
No.
Say that again.
80% of this country is dependent on a government check.
That is fucking disgusting.
That is child welfare. That is EIA. They have all these different things.
The police, it's the doctors, it's the politicians, it's the teachers, it goes on and on and on and on.
Well, can I help with that?
Yes, you can, please.
20%.
Can I help with that? Tracy, without checking, I know you're not far off that your numbers there. It's a high number, whatever it is. It's
I'm not going to go and do the math because nobody can really break it down.
It doesn't matter, because anybody that knows me will know that I tell people that I would rather be broke and living in a third world country like Africa, as your buddy Trump would say, that shithole country.
I'm my buddy.
Well, whatever. You're still.
It makes a difference. It does make a difference.
Let me finish. Okay.
You turn me with a specific stick when you use those terms. And when you say everybody, when you're talking about COVID and stuff, you're including me, and I'm not one of those. I never was locked down.
The majority of Canada, because I promise you 95% of people were locked down.
Well, it was under the public health orders.
Well, if you don't go out, Tracy, that doesn't count. Being locked down is trying to go to a restaurant and being told no, you can't. Okay? And so if you didn't try to go to a restaurant throughout that period, then you don't count. Okay?
Well, it's a restaurant, and I did everything anybody else did. Nobody stopped me. Because I'm a
but I do want to say that I will attest to what Alex is saying. I would absolutely much rather be in what they call a third world developing country. I've been around the world a couple of times, than in my own home country now. And this is where I should and shall be able to earn the best, live the best, I drive here, I speak English, and yet
Where are we going with this?
Well,
This-
where we're going, where we're going with this, Tracy?
for not a third country. I'm not sure.
Where we're going with this and where we should go with this is, you know what? Even a dog has a sense to get off the nail if that nail's hurting too much. Okay. And here's where Canadians or North Americans, as far as I'm concerned, as a society, we're too lenient. We're too like if and what I say. Wait. And what I mean by dog is, for example, some Africans, for example, will risk their lives to get to a better ground by getting on these fucking boats that'll capsize, trying to get to better ground because their leaders are robbing and looting them and giving all their resources to the Western world, for example. All right. And so,
Well, how do we get to that point?
and so that's where they've had, well, that's why apparently we're not at that point. We're not at that pain threshold, apparently, because that pain threshold is there and it's a real thing. And so that's where their army's starving as well, because their army, guess what? They're people too. And this is all going to tie back in to something else I want to talk about, is maybe these fucking leaders should also be part of the war. I think I mentioned that, should be
Yeah,
head of
you
the
mentioned that.
yeah, and we'll get back to that as well, because
Mhm.
people need to think twice about fighting someone else's dirty battle, and this is what's happening in the world. It has been happening. All right, but we'll get back to that. Let's get back to this Trudeau thing.
I'm at a disadvantage here, guys, because I've never been, out of North America. Okay, I've been into the Caribbean. I've been all throughout the United
That's
States.
fair enough. That's fair enough.
Been over in Africa and things like that. So, I mean, I'm a little out of my league here. But I will tell you that anybody tries to take what's mine, I don't give a fuck who it is. Excuse my language. Not really, but I will defend my shit to the death. I will defend my children.
Okay, Tracy, you say that,
point,
you say that, and a lot of people say that, but I disagree. I respectfully disagree, because Tracy, without asking how old you are, but how many years have you worked have you worked as an employee in your lifetime? How many years? Do you know?
In my lifetime, probably 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years in total?
Yeah.
That you worked as an employee, you've been an independent all the other time?
Yeah. I've owned my own businesses. I started my first business when I was 19. It was an international company.
Okay,
Nice.
so that's awesome.
Good for you.
And the reason why I'm getting it at
It's called Equal Rental and Leasing. It was a custom combine company. I started in Oklahoma. It hit in Oklahoma for the Murphys and combined my way all the way up. I had 3 John Deere 9500, 2 LTL 9000, fucking Louisville's.
Okay. And how did you get?
Hey, I want to say something.
4 or 5 different businesses. I've leased over probably $150 million in my lifetime. I worked for Kawasaki back in the 80s.
One time,
Played
one person.
in the Junior Mini Grand Prix in California. I've done all kinds of shit.
So let me tell you this, Tracy. As far as I'm concerned, in my personal reality, I think I mentioned earlier on, 20, 25 years ago, my goal was to make, 80 or 100 grand a year at the time. And I remember shifting from, the banking world into, opening up a grocery store, then becoming a rep for the car dealerships, for example. And then as a finance person. But then when I flipped back into the car world, I remember the first month I made, $8 grand based off of my own marketing, my own everything. And half of that went to taxes. Okay.
Yeah. Typical.
2 more months of that, 3 months of that, I said, fuck that. And that's when I started my own company and never looked back. All right. And the point is, and then, I found something that I was good at, something I did myself, something I basically created with these 2 hands. And so it's kind of like, why am I giving half of it up to the government at source? Okay.
Exactly.
Every fucking thing I buy, it's taxed anyways. Everything I buy, it's taxed. Everything I buy, it's taxed. Right. And so the government gets the taxes anyways. And so to me, that is the first public enemy number 1, is the tax that we pay in North America.
Actually, I started,
especially Canada.
Years ago, because most of what I do these days, I run it through my company. So I guess technically, to answer your question, I've only been employed with somebody else for maybe 2 years. So
you're changing your answer.
Everything.
You're an impressive human being, Tracy.
One thing that I want to say is that we are very, very blessed here in Manitoba, even though we are at grim times here in Manitoba, and we have been around the world, lots of us, what have you. We live in one of the best provinces that I have ever been in. I'm proud to be where I'm from. Every
The,
time I
mu-
come back here,
the murder capital of
well,
Canada. All
hey,
right, all right,
well,
all right.
Not
no,
not
but I mean,
anymore.
like, so if somebody, no, but I wanted to
Lucky
say,
for,
if somebody,
you know,
if
the joint,
somebody
I feel
can,
lucky, you know, it's all
One
hold
at
good.
a
on,
time, guys. One at a
excuse
time.
me, if somebody can and will make a difference in the province of Manitoba, it will, before the day I die, be Aaron Miller. Because I toured around yet again this past week, and I'm not okay with one thing that's happening here. It used to be a very better province. The whole nation used to be better. But they're making it very difficult to want to stay here because it's dangerous. It's on and on, right? But I just want to say that we are very, very blessed because we have a lot of very, very good things that could and should be going on in Manitoba all the time. So I'm still waiting for the meeting with the premier, the brand new premier of the province. So looking forward to getting a picture taken with him this week and seeing what he has to say about all the problems still, because he's been in power for a little bit, right? So there's same type of thing going on here in Manitoba. But me, I want to, my best platform here from here forward is enjoying my time. Anyone that knows me knows some of the work that I do as in service, and it's not very nice. It's grim. And the reason why is because for justice. This is total crap, some of the things that I have and that I know about. And that's just my wisdom. And so as a woman that had some free time and a woman that started a foundation 5 years ago to help build awareness to the national inquiry to the men and women being killed in our country. So, I mean, here I am on Real Talk 2024, telling the truth
Still fighting.
And
So-
there's no, it's just that we have rules and laws here. Like we're not supposed to really be running around with handguns shooting each other. And the police absolutely shouldn't be doing that either. So we got big problems. We've been talking about this on Real Talk. The solution is change. And how do you make that change? You stand up.
Yeah. You know what? And I fully agree with you. The solution is change. And to me, that change is that change. And then when I say change, I'm thinking change literally as in money. The solution is money.
But change is as a society.
To me, it's kind of funny when people kind of bitch and moan and complain about the government without really.
Right. So Aaron Miller goes right to the front steps.
Let me finish. Let me finish, Aaron. Let me finish. Can I finish, Aaron? Let me finish. The problem is, to me, people don't realize governments are a business. They are a business. Okay.
They are their own
And if people
business.
realize that, the sooner they'd be better off, because people forget, just because most people are not about business, they don't understand the business of government. Okay. Because most people, to me, understood the business of government, we would do a better job of running our lives like a business as well. And being business minded and trying to get ahead of the curve, because earlier on the show I started telling you guys about these TikTok videos and all these people online complaining about making 80 grand a year, 100 grand a year and not making enough money. Well, guess what? Just like any business, you need to get on that treadmill and figure out ways to make more money to get ahead of the curve. Because that curve, if you can't change that curve, which most people can't, we can't fight inflation. We can't fight the economy. We can't fight the powers that be, because materials and cost of things do change.
Yeah.
And so not all that is on the government.
And that's one thing that I do want to say, Alex, just as I have to run here, is when I met Mr. Alex Sapong a couple years ago, this is what really intrigued me about him, the way he thinks, his brain, the way his money sense is, the way he has the abilities. So he knows what he's talking about. And so 100%. And I make wish to you, Alex, for not only helping myself, but my family. My family interested, right? That we can be secure in these ways. And any of our customers, our clients, our friends, I encourage everybody to give us a call. We are a great team.
No, listen, and I'm not gonna, no, this isn't about us, and it's not a plug, shouldn't be about a plug for.
No, it's not.
No, what I'm talking about, and I'm not gonna sit here and say it's easy, but it's definitely not easy if a person doesn't get up and try to figure out ways.
Right. But your wisdom.
Because the same definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and hoping for different results. And so, for example, people that are striking and upset with CN or whoever the hell they're working for, saying, you're not giving that quarter raise, fuck that. You need to figure out some other way instead of bitching at the person, because that person's never going to pay the money that you need to get ahead. Period. Okay. And so you need to pivot from that, or find an alternative to increase your cash flow. period.
Right. And I think
Because
that this is like the wisdom that you bring, Alex. There's no plug. It's just being real on real talk
no,
here.
no,
It's
thank
the
you. Thank you
wisdom.
for that. Thank you for that.
No,
But
no,
my
it's the
thank
wisdom
you for
that we
that.
all.
No, no, thank you for that. But my head's big enough. Look at it. My head is big enough.
No, no,
Okay,
no,
look
no.
at
But
it.
I mean, like, there's a lot of wisdom in this show. We all come to this table on a Sunday morning with our purpose and mastery,
Yeah.
right? So what we are talking about today is very, very true in building business and successful business that will go on and on and on. Some of us have different levels of success, different years we've been growing different things. And, it's 2.5 years ago, I met Alex or so, and he's, what that is now, we bring Tracy onto the show. I known him for a while, and Malcolm in the middle, right on. And thank you guys always on a Sunday morning. I am actually going to be the fire keeper here at a sweat right away. So that's also something, we can always do these tutorials later on to teach people, show people what real Canada is all about, right? Because we do live in a very, very beautiful country here.
Wicked.
And we do have freedom of choice. So be the good Samaritan always, right?
Yeah,
You got it.
and
Thanks so
anyways,
much,
getting back to
Aaron.
someone's question here, what is the solution? No, maybe the solution is conversations around this thing, starting conversations, signing petitions, letting their MPs know it's not cool what's happening, and whether those MPs champion it or not, or further that conversation or not.
100%.
But I think as voters and as citizens and as a people, we really need to start talking or having a conversation about these leaders and them staying in for 4 years. Because I'm sorry, if you're not doing your job within the first 2, 3 months, just like any other fucking job, bye-bye.
Yeah. Because remember, these jobs titles also come with a very, very big paycheck, along with an expense account, etc. Like there should be nothing you have to worry about except for doing your job, right?
That's fair.
Right. So that's fair. So we did talk about this before. Alex for Prime Minister, Aaron for Prime Minister. Fighting against the title. That was an old one. So I gotta run, guys. But big wish to everyone. Thank you, and thanks to everyone for listening. Always. Thank you.
Right on. Bye-bye. To Alex, I enjoy the fact that you think that we can see, for example, if you were our new prime minister, you do need more than 3-4 months to start turning around a country.
No, for sure. I'm using 3-4 months as an example, right? Because most people that start jobs have a 3-month probationary period, right? And so that's where I'm just using it as an example. But I mean, these guys have a 4-year term for the most part, right? Before they're due for re-election. And I mean, here's where I'll tie it back to even like say Trump, for example. This fucking guy created treason and against his own fucking country. And aside from that, he's divisive, talks shit about like other cultures. And I'm sorry, but any other job, you think Bezos could get away with something like that? You think Elon Musk could get away with something like that? No. You think Gates could get away with something like that? No. They'd be removed from any. You think any NBA? Like look at what happened to the guy from the Clippers, I believe it was.
Donald Sterling.
Sterling, yeah, he's talking shit about niggers, and what happened? He got ousted, and so how is this fucking guy able to run for a fucking country, even an option where the Supreme Court's actually taking the time to talk about it, for example? No, fuck that. Seriously, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Fuck
and
that.
He's trying to go for another term, which is so.
And the fact that it's even an option, it blows my mind. You know what I'm saying? It blows my fucking mind.
But you look at Canada, it's always been more of a, we'll say, like conglomerate where you have a CEO for an extended period of time. One that comes to mind is Jean Chrétien. He was in the office for, I want to say, 12 years, or maybe.
And I was a kid at that time, and maybe wasn't as closely, attentive. But I can't remember any issues with him at all. But granted, there's different issues in today's, society and environment. But to me, still the biggest glaring issue is hunger and homelessness. To me, I don't know how I can be a president of a country and sleeping and wherever I rest my head, knowing that there's people around the corner from me sleeping on the streets. I'm failing them. You know what I mean? Yeah, granted, there's some people that put themselves there through gambling and drugs and what have you, but that's still, people that are my subjects. And so, to me, that's the same type of wars they're having in Ukraine, for example. You know what I mean? Like it's a different kind of war, but it's a war still. And these are people that have been displaced that need to be looked after all the same. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true.
Because, for example, there's a reason why I live in a certain part of the city I do, because I find it more peaceful than another part of the city. But that other part of the city, I would rather spend my tax dollars to have it cleaned up because this is my backyard, and I want my kids to be safe. I want to be able to, you know, even
Go
myself
anywhere.
go anywhere, because in myself I stay away from certain areas because it's not safe, right? Even though I can handle myself, but why put yourself in that situation, right? And
This is
so
true.
and so, you know, person first, if I ran a country or North America, I would have limited all taxes off of people's personal checks, because I'm going to get that money anyways, because people have a tendency to spend every dollar they make anyhow. And so, you know, at the pumps, at the grocery stores, I'm going to collect that 13% or 15% or whatever the GST and PSC is in Canada. And I'm going to make that, and that's more, and not to mention Canada, they're also collecting the lottery monies that no one's talking about. So the government is making money in Canada. They do not need your money
They
at
always
source.
do. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so
Well,
really, Canada, I
yeah,
think we talked about this before, even at the minimum tax bracket, if you factor in the retail taxes, really, even at the minimum, people are almost at
40,
40% taxes.
50%.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's 4 or 5 months of the year that we're working for taxes. That is fucking horrible.
Yeah.
If people like, you know, I'm not the smartest person, but I do know math, and that is bad math.
And it's, well, and not only that, he also layers it on layers, right? Like the carbon tax affects every single thing you buy, because to get it to market,
That's what I mean.
that is a tax on the fuel that they're using, and then that person who produces that
Yeah,
item or that
yeah,
produce or whatever is
yeah,
going
because
to
yeah,
share
because
well,
this
it's
is
that with
where
you.
also taxing on the tax. The carbon tax is even on top of GST. So when you pay your PST and GST, the carbon tax is on top of all of that.
this
So
is
the
what I'm saying.
just legal.
This is
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
On
Yeah,
and
And
on.
yeah.
then this lunatic is about to raise it in 4 months to
Well, well,
something
coming
here's
up,
what,
higher. I can't remember.
yeah, because here's where Rob Canoe, the new Manitoba premier, eliminated that carbon tax, and so the gas prices have dropped here in Manitoba. Thank goodness.
well, he
How did
Um,
he eliminate carbon
did.
tax?
he eliminated it. I don't know how, but
Provincial
yeah,
tax. He
yeah,
eliminated.
yeah.
He has
So
control over the carbon tax. He can control the provincial tax. So he's cut the provincial tax out of it.
Oh, so he's not allowing the government to tax on tax. So he took away the provincial tax and let the
Part of
carbon tax stay.
Part of his
Wow.
campaign, Malcolm, was that if you elect me, I will reduce the tax on your fuel. Okay. It was specifically on gasoline. I don't know if it affects diesel. I've never delved that deep into it, but I would hope it does. I think it does. But really, the only thing he really has any control over is the provincial tax. So what he's done is he's for a few months, it's only for about 3 months, I believe. January, February, March, he's just taking off the provincial tax to give Manitobans a break. So,
Wow.
but in the
What?
meantime, Trudeau was quadrupling the carbon tax. So we're paying 4 times as much as what it originally was. So we probably see $2 a liter here, probably April, May, you know. But if anything,
If
if
it
everything
goes through.
planned, if everything goes as the way things are going, we're hopefully going to have an early election, because it looks like Jagmeet's going to flip flop. If Trudeau doesn't come good on his Medicare plan, Jagmeet, which is at the end of this month, and they're not going to because they can't financially, it's just not possible. So it's pretty certain that Jagmeet's going to drop their coalition, and that's going to force an election here early spring, which in that case, hopefully the Conservatives come in. Not that I'm a Conservative fan. I don't like any of the colors or any of the stripes. But right now, we need to stop the bleeding in this country. We need to put an end to what's going on, because this clown, all he's doing is spending, spending, spending. And what he does when he starts going into the hole even deeper than what we already have, the highest ever, is he just increases a carbon tax, blaming it all on climate change so that he can help offset all of his additional spending. And then what he does is he fools the Canadian population, most of them that are already getting government checks, don't have a lot of money to begin with, into thinking that, which is the majority of the voters out there, thinking that they're going to be money ahead, which they are before getting these checks quarterly, okay, these carbon tax rebates. And it works for a lot of the people that do not contribute to the income of this country. And those are the 80, well, I shouldn't say 80%, that drops down. I don't even know what the breakdown is between people that are on welfare. And don't think for a minute that I don't think people don't deserve welfare, disability, and all those things, because I was on it. I couldn't wait to get off it because it wasn't paying me enough to do what I wanted to do in this world. So when I had my transfer, I was off it in 6 months. I was working for minimum wage for about a year and a half till I could get my driver's license back. And haven't been on unemployment, anything since, even though I probably am entitled to unemployment. I've not taken a dime from the government because I am so against how this whole country is run that myself, I'm setting an example for the rest of everybody else. Okay. I could go right now and collect unemployment and run everything through my company and screw the government and you and Alex and everybody else, like a lot of the people do in this country, because the way it's set up, because of our government, these deadbeats that we elect and put in office, because they're not good for anything else, they just design the system so they fill their own pockets, and it's just a vicious circle. And something really drastic needs to happen in order for it to stop. Right now, we have a huge uproar in Europe. The Spanish police are shooting rubber bullets at the farmers today. The farmers are spraying the parliament buildings with manure. They're welding the steel gates shut at it gets nuts over there. And that's all because of this zero carbon, all this bullshit that's going on, which makes absolutely no sense if you actually stop listening to all the media and all the government paid media that there is in the world, and you realize that carbon is life. It is the basic, most elementary, fundamental chemical in this universe that creates life. So carbon isn't a bad thing, okay? We don't have a carbon problem like the government would like us to believe. What we have is a problem, and we have a greed problem. And until common people like Alex and you guys are suggesting stand up for ourselves and get rid of these dimwits that are filling their own pockets, like every 2 weeks, every week, the Liberal government is caught with another scandal where they're filling one of their own pockets, their friends' pockets, screwing the taxpayers, and Trudeau just blah, 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 blah. Christina Freeland, she's our prime minister for the country, couldn't even pass a grade 5 mathematics test, I'm sure. She's never any numbers in any of the speeches that she gives. All she talks in general terms, adjectives, and this and that. Oh, we're the number one, number 3, and this and that. She doesn't tell you anything. None of
doesn't know.
Tells you anything because they don't know. All they're doing is they're busy filibustering or whatever to cover up all their shit. Trudeau is playing it out as long as he can because he knows his days are numbered. So he's going to keep filling his pockets as much as he can until he's kicked out. And that's just how it works, unfortunately.
Yeah, and here's where, what I'm going to try to add to it and what I'm going to try to throw out there. And
you got 2 minutes, my brother.
And here's what I'm going to throw out there more so for people that are in sales, I guess, but anyone really that is an employee. But all you salespeople out there that are working in sales, like true sales that are bringing sales, okay? That is you bring it in. If your employer is not bringing those sales for you, if you're literally bringing people in through the doors, you go to your employer and you tell your employer you want to become a subcontractor. You tell your employer you want to become independent, because that's how you cut that umbilical cord to Ottawa. That's how you cut that umbilical cord to the tax department, or to a degree. You'll still pay tax on things you buy, but at least you can offset your taxes with your expenses, with your and that's how the rich get richer. Exactly, become a business just like the government is, and that's how you minimize your taxes. But yet, a lot of people are afraid of taxes. In my experience, are afraid to do their own paperwork, afraid to do accounting. You know what? Call me, email me. I'll help you with it. Okay.
Right on.
All right. Just. No, this is real talk. Like it's
pension, okay, and your check, and you put it into a savings fund, you would be so much further ahead.
Way further ahead. All right. Like I'm sorry, the government gets more than enough money for for transportation, for the roads, for the medical. Actually, the government actually kicks back some monies in Canada, anyways, to the schools and the hospitals from lotteries. I don't know if a lot of people know that the government can actually support that whole thing without ever taking tax over. That's why we've had some cutbacks on our property taxes, for example. right? Because
Yeah.
of all these lottery foundations. And so the government's making a ton of money from there that no one's talking about.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
there,
isn't it kind of like a 50-50? Because I swear it was something to that effect. Like if it's 50 million, technically there was $100 million that is there, and then they're giving out the 50 million and
No,
keeping
no,
that.
no. It's not 50-50. It's more like 99-1. Okay, if that.
What-
It's more like
we
99. And what I mean by that is when the government pockets 99.9%, because I don't know if you notice nowadays the lottery magically hits a number of, like, I'll use Lotto Max for example, hits a number magically 70 million, and it usually takes a few months to get there, and it'll hover there for a bit, then it'll magically go, right? But while it's at that number, the government's already probably pocketed well over $1 billion if you use a truth in marketing concept, which is, you know, basically you have to hit X amount of dollars, like 100 people to get 10% of the market type thing,
Right.
right? So if you think of the population of 30 million plus in Canada, and if you use 10% of the population playing the lottery, that's billions of dollars every year. Because if you think about it, and what they've gotten smart to too, you remember when the lottery first started, it was just a 649, you know, for all of Canada. Now they got Ontario, now they got Western Canada, now they got Eastern, you
Yeah.
know, and now
They
they
have
got
all the
640.
regional
Yeah,
lotteries,
and
right?
they're both, instead of going once a week, they're both going twice a week. Ching, 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 right?
Yeah, that's
It's,
true.
guys, I gotta have to run. I'm
yeah,
afraid.
no problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
our time
you're
is up
right
too.
on.
Our time
Yeah.
is up too.
Hey, it
Well,
was fun.
man,
Yeah,
it was
it was fun,
exhilarating,
Trace.
gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you, Aaron. And yeah,
But
this was Real Talk, gentlemen and ladies. Please like, subscribe, follow, and visit us next week on Real Talk.
wake
Cheers,
up, people. Wake up. Okay.
No
Help
doubt.
yourselves, because the Lord helps those that help themselves.
Heck yeah. I love it.
Right.
Cheers, my brother.
Anyway. All right.
Later.